Okay, so the second set of notes today, we are still on section 1.1, and we are going to work on what it's called translating two algebraic expressions. So just like you would translate two languages together, so just say Spanish to English. So if I were to write hola down and I translate it to English, it would mean hi. It's the same thing with mathematics. If I were to write 8y down, what that means is 8 times y, right? When two things are next to each other, it means to multiply. So this is the mathematic version. This is what we call the English version, okay? So let's write down some notes. So multiplication notation, a lot of students get confused what it means to be multiplied. So you can write it in many different forms. I can write two numbers or two variables next to each other. So 8 next to the y means they are being multiplied. I can write it with a dot. I can write it with parentheses, so 8 times y. I can also write it as 8 dot y. I can also write it with just one parenthesis, okay? These all mean 8 times y. They're just written in different ways, right? So let's go ahead and talk about division notation. This is the one that confuses a lot of people. So fractions mean division. A lot of students and people think they mean two separate things. They do not. So if I have the example of 1/2 t, I could rewrite that as t divided by 2. I could rewrite that as t divided by 2. Notice I said the exact same thing. So here's a question for you. What are ways we can rewrite 1/7 times x? Okay. So I'll give you about 10 seconds to come up with different ways. Okay, and so different ways you could write it as 1x divided by 7. You could write it as just x divided by 7. Or you could write it as x divided by 7. And notice they are all equivalent and they all mean the same way. Okay, now the main notes I really want you to take today are common phrases. So just like if you were learning French or Spanish or English, there are common words that you would use. In mathematics, it's the same way. So we are going to make a column in our notebook. So you can make it just like mine. So we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and then the last one is division. Okay, so we're going to make a chart of all four. And we are going to write some common words that we hear. So another word for addition is sum. Another word is plus. Another word is more than. Okay. Now subtraction, what are some words we can use? Well, less means subtraction. I guess I should say less than means subtraction. Okay. Difference. Minus. Okay, so those are a couple. We're just going to come up with just a few. Now, multiplication, the most famous one that most kids don't know is the word of means to multiply. Okay, the word product, and then also the word times. Now, last but not least, division. What are different ways to say division? Well, we know the word divided means division. And then a few common phrases, quotient. Quotient means to divide. And then the last one, the word per means to divide. So think about it. If it means miles per hour, it's miles over hour. Okay? So let's go ahead and get to some examples. We are going to practice translating phrases. So this is going to be a little bit of writing, so be careful. So the first question is the sum of a number and 83. Okay, so what we want to do is pick out some words here. The word sum is important. A number is important, and 83 is important. Now notice, it doesn't tell us a number, so we are just going to put x because we don't know it. Now let's go ahead and write the phrase. The word sum means to add, so what this means is we take the number x and we add it to 83. And there's my answer. Okay? All right, let's try a couple more. Number 2. We have 5 less than some number. Okay? The first thing is we don't know what some number is, so that's a questionable thing. So that means it's a variable x. Now we learned that less than means to subtract, right? It means minus. However, you have to be careful. You have 5 less than x. So which one is bigger here? Is the 5 bigger or is the x bigger? In this case, x is bigger, so it goes first. Less than means to subtract, and 5. So 5 less than some number means x minus 5. All right, let's move on to number 3. Twice some number. All right, again, we know that some number, we don't know what it is, so it means x. Now, the problem is twice was not listed on the list. So what does it mean to twice something? I have twice as much, okay? It means 2 times the amount. So twice is the same thing as 2 times it, okay? So now let's go ahead and translate. 2 times x reads as 2x, and there we go. All right, number 4, we have 34% of some number. Okay? So let's start with some number. Some number would mean x. Now, what did the word of mean? So you might have to go back to your chart. The word of means to multiply. And then 34%. So mathematically, in math, we don't write things with percentages. We write them as a decimal. So you would actually write 34% as 0.34. So now let's put all this information together. 34% means 0.34. Of means to multiply. And then some number, which is x. Cool. All right, so let me give you one to try. So some number divided by 0.7. So go ahead and see if you can come up with an answer.